of the most admirable chasers you could possibly wish to see.
Hello and welcome to this special Christmas episode of the Racehour podcast, kindly sponsored by Betfred in association with Gambling.com. Once again, Tom Lee has vacated the host seat, so you're stuck with me. But I am pleased to be joined by a truly stellar panel of guests, none more so than Mr. Racehour himself, Diarmuid Nolan. Have you got all your Christmas shopping done, Dermot?
All done, Darren. I try to get it all finished around Black Friday, so thank God it's all done. So I just can kind of kick on now and enjoy the running. So yeah, all good. Great to be on this show now. First time of the year, thank God.
That's a level of preparedness the rest of us can only aspire to. Also very pleased to be joined by expert pundit Tanya Stevenson. How are you, Tanya?
Yeah, very well indeed. Looking forward to this superb fair over the festive period. And yeah, it's just great, isn't it? We're going to look at Kempton, we're going to look at Leopardstown and Chepstow. It's superb.
Absolutely, yeah. It's no shortage of excellent racing over the Christmas period. And last but certainly not least, excellent judge and all-round good egg, Gary Connolly rounds out our panel. All good with you, Gary?
Yeah, unfortunately I haven't been as well prepared as Dermot, so I have the challenge of navigating Granton Street and the masses down there after here to pick up all the Christmas presents, so not looking forward to it, but my own fault.
I somehow doubt you'll be too laden now with bags, knowing you, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. As alluded to already, this week's episode is a Christmas special, so we're going to begin the show by looking ahead to three of the highlights of the Christmas period. And first up, we have the King George Chase 3 miles at Kempton on Boxing Day. It's a complex picture. Fact to file now looks an unlikely supplementary feature. His JP McManus own colleague Spillane Tower apparently needs more rain before the cash is stumped up to get him into the race. You've got LA Francais, you've got Grey Dawning, Banbridge, to name just a couple of others. So I suppose while the race may lack a potential Cauto Star or Q card, it probably makes up for that in its competitive nature. What way did you come down on it, Dermot?
I'm starting to get a little bit jiggy now because about 5 or 6 weeks ago on the sister podcast, I put up Banbridge at 14-1. So I'm quite happy now with how that market is kind of shaping up there. I just think that he showed it at Kempton last year. I thought he won that race at Kempton basically as a stare because he didn't jump as well as a Nicholas horse that day. And kind of kicked on by him. And last time, I mean, that was a monstrous effort, giving £10 to Nerjmi. Like, absolutely monstrous effort. So he has to prove that he stays 3 miles, but I just don't think he's been actually given the opportunity to. I think he will. I think his running style will suit Kempton perfectly. This is a really good race. I find the Spillane Tower talk really strange that he needs soft ground. Last season, he was winning over 2.5 miles on kind of decent ground. He beat Monty Star at Punchestown on good ground. I don't get that talk whatsoever. But overall, Darren, I do think that Banbridge I think he's got very strong form here. I mean, LA Francais, and I know Darren's going to be, that El Gasby waxing lyrical about him now, no doubt. But I do think that form at Kempton last year now is sus enough. And kind of, there is depth here. But look, I'm on 14-1 on Banbridge. My anti-post book and the other podcast really badly needs a winner now. It's a cacophony of nonsense, that list of mine over there. But hopefully Banbridge, Darren, and I'm starting to get more and more confident kind of as the weather dries up and everything else that he could take a bit of catching.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. You said Spillane Tower maybe isn't as ground dependent as a lot of people are suggesting. I assume you have your weather forecast done for Banbridge, who kind of does need top of the ground to be seen to best effect.
Yeah, and look, that's kind of like all the talk has been. There's only showers between now and Monday, and then Monday through to Thursday is pretty much dry weather, so he's going to be getting the ground there. That was my argument, is that, if Banbridge will ever get his ground, it will be at Kempton. Kempton just seems to always have very decent ground. And I just wouldn't be surprised now to see Spillane Tower taking on Monty Star on New Year's Day at Tramore now. Does kind of look that way. But just the Spillane Tower stuff kind of really confuses me. He should be running, but I hope he doesn't there. Really do.
Yeah, for sure. If I was on at 14s, I'd be in the same boat as you. Tanya, what way did you see the race unfolding at this stage?
I'm interested to hear the talk about Spillane Tower because I felt that if they decide to run, he can win. That was a monumental effort in the John Durkan. Really was monumental. This is a horse that looked as though he was doing that comfortably, and the further that they would have gone would have suited Spillane Tower even more. He sort of tentatively came through in the race as if you felt he didn't feel he was belong, but we don't know whether he's going to be here or not, and the race is shaping up is about as much important of who we don't know is coming than who we do. We mentioned about Il Francais. Now wind the clock back 12 months and the horse will be gone. It'll just be travelled so strongly, he'll be out in front, and this is where I worry for Grey Dawning, because he wouldn't be able to lay up anywhere near to Il Francais of 12 months ago. If you look through the stats as well, the last 8 years, if you've run in the Betfred Chase, you haven't then come on to run well or even win the King George. There was a time that you had to have run in the Betfred Chase and then come on to the King George. That is irrelevant now. And I just want to wash my mouth of the Grey Dawning, the Royal Pagal, Brave Man's Game race at Haydock. I think that might have been too tough on all of those. It's interesting as well to see over the last 20 years, Ireland have had 14 runners. And that has been over a case of 10 renewals. So 14 runners in 10 races, and they've won it 4 times. So it just shows you how they are sort of, they pinpoint the race really, really well. You've got to take that in mind, and that's why I was getting excited regarding Spillane Tower, maybe even Banbridge. But a horse that hasn't even been mentioned in this contest, but is sitting there and has led this race until the second last a couple of years ago, and that is the one and only L'Homme Pressé, who comes into this race. Everyone will probably chuckle, go, oh no, but Benisha's in form. He won't make the ground. He led Brave Man's Game to the last before Brave Man's Game went on to win it, and okay, he might not have won it. His form figures when fresh, a 5th and then 4 ones. He had a kind of a truncated and afterthought season last season. He'll come into this season, and it's not an issue for L'Homme Pressé, as I've just mentioned, to run in it, making your seasonal debut. So knowing now Spillane Tower's not out of it, I'm too worried to go with Il Francais, but should he go out in front, he'll just fly out. With Banbridge, but my main selection will be L'Homme Pressé in the race. It just travels so comfortably and can sit in the ideal positions as you turn for home. He's a stronger horse from when he was second to Brave Man's Game, or unseated his rider behind Brave Man's Game.
Very good. L'Homme Pressé for Tanya Stevenson, who is available at 10-1 with our sponsors Betfred. And Gary Connolly, your view on the King George Chase, please.
Yeah, it probably looks a little shallow enough renewal to me now, especially if Spillane Tower doesn't get supplemented. But I'll chat about the 2 Frenchies going to make the trip over. They're probably 2 of the ones over there, the Grade 1 horses that are probably better suited to running in the UK and Ireland. Just the way the race program's laid out over there, they don't suit these Parisian tracks over the type of trip for the Grade 1. So they'd be more suited to this type of test. We'll start with LA France first. I wouldn't be worried about him blowing out last time. It's just like he was running over 3.5 miles. Always develops into a slog. He's just a speedy 2.5 mile and needs good ground. So over there, they just try and hold on to him. He is a one-dimensional horse, but he's a very good one-dimensional horse when he's allowed to do his thing. So just get out and go, which was seeing like devastating effect last year. He should be let loose in front. He'll ping away. My only suspicion with him now would be if it is put up to him when he is front running, I think he just pukes and he'll chuck it in. But if he gets loose on the front and they give him enough rope, he won't come back to them. He was a double figure price up until last week. He's in around 5-1 now, which is all the juice has gone. But he'll be back there. It's probably one for the in-running punters. If he gets loose on the front, he'd be tough to reel in, I'd say. But the other one is a bit more interesting. June Dos Ganimos, 5-year-old. He is going to get supplemented, and I think it's well worth connection stumping up the few bob to get him in here. Otoy again isn't his track. He basically just shits himself when he gets those big ditches down the back. He threw away his chance in the Prix de la Haye. Just walked through one of them, and he done very well to get back into contention for Tyrone Lake. Grand Doze won that. He's a serious horse. He'd put up to all these good Irish horses around O'Toy. He's just a really machine of a horse around there. And he came toward to him, probably stretched out stamina. He chased Ile Francais for a fair bit there before taking it up. He'll jump around here, no bother. Like, there is concern about us jumping, but it's a different test in Kempton to O'Toy. No bother with him. He'll jump around here. 5-year-old, serious engine, and he'll definitely be in the shake-up. Whether he's good enough to beat the Irish horses remains to be seen, especially if Spillane Tower comes over. He'll beat the English horses. He's better than the English horses. So you can get about 16. You probably drift a bit on the day, so double figure price, it's a no-brainer. Get on this one each way.
No price for Juntos Ganamos with our sponsors at this early stage. As a man of culture, Gary, Juntos Ganamos, what does that translate as?
I've failed French, so you're asking the wrong man. I can read French form, not French names, unfortunately.
Well, it's not even French, it's Spanish. It means together we win, would you believe? So there you go, you don't...
Every day is a school day. Every day
is a school day, absolutely, especially on the Racehour podcast. A couple of interesting selections there from Gary Connolly from the across the channel. We will move on now slightly westward to the Welsh Grand National. Mr. Van Gogh made a successful seasonal return a couple of weeks ago in what was an attritional London National, but he'll almost certainly be without his willing partner Nico de Boinville if he was to line up and try and justify 6-1 favouritism. You got last year's winner Nassalam in here, hyper competitive campaign last year, back down to a mark of 152. I'll stick with you, Gary. Do you have the winner of the Welsh National?
I'm not sure about the winner. I think she'd be close enough. I'm going to butcher this one name now as well. Galia de Leto will go for the Skeletons. Dropped 2 pounds. Ran down the field in the Hennessy, whatever it's called now. On ground, it's probably a bit too quick. I think it was probably an afterthought for running there, just when he saw how weak it was. I always think this was the main plan for her. Ran a cracker in the English National until the petrol ran out on her. I think she makes amends here in the Welsh one, so she'll do it at a decent enough price. Also, I'll have to mention it. Dean Ryan was in the office with me yesterday, which usually means no work done, chatting horses and spurs. He seemed quite keen on Good Risk at All at 25 about that. So I said I'd give him a little shout out here. So Dean Ryan likes Good Risk at All here.
Good Risk at All, yeah. 25-1 with our sponsors, Betfred and Gary, your selection, Galia de la Toe, 9-1 at the moment with Betfred. Soft ground would be no impediment to her chances, I would suggest. Diarmuid Nolan, the Welsh Grand National.
Yeah, I like Sam Thomas's duo on this. So I also like Good Risk at All. I think he'll fit this race very well. But I'm kind of just really gutted that he never got a prep run to Jubilee Express. I thought last March at Haydock, we weirdly on the Racehour podcast tend to pick out Welsh national horses for some reason. We're kind of mad about this race, so we tend to spend our year in any novice that kind of doesn't look like, he's too slow for 3 miles. We call them all Welsh national horses. This lad definitely looked like that, I thought, at Haydock. It was a really good performance. He's in off a very good mark now. He needs a few to kind of to come out, but he needs 9 or so, I think, so that maybe should kind of happen for him. He's very well weighted here. He could be well ahead of his mark, but I am really disappointed that he hasn't got a prep run into him, because trends-wise, like if we go through all the trends here, he ticks an awful lot of them. This could well be a cracking renewal. Even Gordon Elliott's where it all began, so on and so forth. It's a stacked race. But I do love Sam Thomas of late. I think he's a fantastic trainer. I'm happy to follow him in here with his kind of... He has I Will Do It as well, who obviously won this race before. But I think these two... I like Good Risk at All, but I really, really like Jubilee Express. If Sam Thomas can win this with him off that kind of a break, then he really is as good a trainer as I feel. And whichever horse as well that youngster... Dylan Johnson rides, because he tends to ride a good bit for Sam Thomas. He'll take valuable weight off, so I will be kind of watching who he'll ride. Jubilee Express the main one, but also Good Risk at All there.
Very good, yeah. Followed a talented claimer in there as well. Dermo, he's an excellent rider. Dylan
Oh
Johnson.
God, he's superb. There's a really good batch of them now in the UK as well. Really,
is, yeah.
really strong batch of young jockeys. You know, even Freddie Gordon, etc. They're all very, very good. But this lad, not only is he excellent, he's also he's also brilliant at talking after race and everything else. There, a really, really gifted group there. Yeah.
Yeah. Bright future ahead for him, no doubt. And Tanya, last but certainly not least, the Welsh national. Take us through it.
Yeah, it's a race that in the past has shown that runners that have won or run well in it again and again in years to come. So you see Nassalam returning, but the problem with Nassalam is the form subsequent. I think I feel a little bit sorry for Nassalam having won the Welsh National last year. The handicapper kind of based it on the distance rather than the strange conditions that it was a quagmire. And so he was given a massive push up the ratings. And so the form figures afterwards were pulled up 18th, pulled up. He comes back in this. Let's hope he has every chance. I can't fancy. I'm really worried about the form since. This is a race, though. You need to be to the 4. You get in a rhythm, you get out in front, or you're in the first 4 or 5. And that's how the race then lands. It's also not a race for big outsiders. Generally, the favourites run exceptionally well. 8 of the last 10 winners have been single figures. Even the 2 that haven't were just 16 to 1 chance, so they were just outside 5th or 6th in the market for this race. Look, if you want to go for a solid sort, it's got to be Broadway Boy. He will take you around the track, no problems at all. He showed you that at Newbury, where he was just brilliant at Newbury, only to be beaten by Can Do Kid. But obviously, we might get a pointer to Broadway Boy in the King George because General on Chef ran another cracker in that race. So did Galia de la Toe. She ran well for a long while in that contest, and that could be. I'm certainly a Broadway Boy fan as an alternative. Perhaps Sam Thomas has got a massive chance here. We've already mentioned a couple, and I Will Do It was one of them. He's won it before. He's only raced 6 times since, and one of those was in the Grand National trial. And everyone will say, oh, he's 11 years old, but he was only made 13 to 2 for that very Grand National trial, and he was still in there with 1 to jump. It's his sort of thing, and Sam is a superb trainer. He look what he did with Al Dancer and that. He keeps him spot on. I Will Do It. He's won it before. He was 3rd in it last year. I'm sure he'll be in the frame again. And then, of course, when you speak of Welsh Nationals, where is Tom Lee, by the way? Because you normally speak about Kerry having great... Tom's gone it. He didn't want to probably upset anyone. He's got last year's 4th entered at the moment, not sure, in Atlanta Brave. I suspect Atlanta Brave won't want any attritional ground. Not sure, needs a lot of help to get in the race. But indeed, if not sure, got in the race again, you've always got to include Kerry. My main selection will be Broadway Boy. Me each way will be I Will Do It. But I see Sam Thomas having a big say in this contest.
Broadway Boy, the chief selection for Tanya Stevenson. He is currently a 7 to 1 shot with sponsors Betfred, looking to make amends from his Coral Gold Cup second. He was probably an unlucky loser that day, Tanya. I thought he hit the second last, the third last, and it probably just couldn't get his balance back and was only beaten about a length in the end.
Yeah, I sense that as well. It's just with Broadway Boy, they'll say, oh, this is ideal. He'll go out in front, we'll just sit in behind. But you can't do that in a Chepstow as much as you can in a Newbury because the ground will be so much better.
Yeah, you really need to be on the front end. I find in Chepstow, it's just that the track seems to get away from you if you let the ones in front get away from you. You often see exaggerated, winning distances. There, we come back across the Irish Sea to this side of the water for the Savills Chase on, I believe, the 28th of December, and Willie Mullins appears to hold the key to what would be just a 4th win in this race. It's surprisingly few when you consider the litany of Grade 1s he tends to take over the festive period. He's got Factifile and Gallopin Des Champs heading the market, the latter name just shading it around 6 to 4. Over Factifile at 7 to 4 with our sponsors Betfred. Gordon Elliott claims Jerry Clom will be a different beast this time round. Gallopin Des Champs, to me, would look a very solid favourite. What say you, Tanya?
I want to stick with what would be perceived the new kid. Factor File. That performance in the John Durkan was right. Okay, you've got to take the big guns on now with Factor File. You've got to take on Galopin. I appreciate that it was over a much shorter than we'll see here. This is 3 miles, but Factor File's already won over 3 miles, and he was very hard to gauge as a novice because you'll get small fields. You don't get the caliber that you would do in what he met in a John Durkan. So there would have been obviously not as much expectation behind him, and he just flourished. And I felt he was pulling away from Galopin Des Champs and was saying, well, this is miles too short for me as well, everyone. Don't worry about the superstar. This is miles too short for me. I'm ready. Obviously, Spillane's Tower kept it company. But he jumped with purpose. He ran on strongly with conviction, and I appreciate the superstar has every right to be at the head of the market for what he is. He's 3 from 4 in December. He's 5 from 6 at Leopardstown is Galopin, but I'm still going to go with Factor File because I just think he's coming through, and he's just going to get better and better and better. And I think it's going to be a very, very Merry Christmas for JP.
As always, when you're a man of that particular gentleman's means, it was very weak in the market Factor File that day in the John Durkan, if I remember right. He was a massive drifter all morning, and even before the race, you'd almost have sworn he couldn't win, maybe given the colours and the market suggestions. But just shows you, drifters do win. Gary Connolly, the Savills Chase from Leopardstown, please.
Yeah, I'm rolling behind Tanya. Factor File, I think he just looks a very special horse. And as long as the ground doesn't look too soft, I think he'd put Galopin to the sword. I'm just amazed at the boat running. Makes no sense. Like, it was a Richie horse instead of a JP horse. I would say they would be split up. But JP seems to call the shots when it comes to the entries for his. So I'd say that's the reason why. But yeah, Factor File, he just looks... He looks a real superstar, and I think he's just going to improve past Galopin here, so he'll do for me. I think he should be favourite. In fact, you're getting 7-4 bonus. So yeah, fill your boots.
Chairman Nolan, are you going to put some respect on Galopin Des Champs' name? This is ridiculous. I can't believe this.
I can kind of see both sides. I'm kind of like Switzerland now in a world war. I'm kind of, between both sides. But I thought Factor File blew me away last time. I've kind of, because Dean Ryan was such a big fan of this horse, I've kind of intentionally wanted to take him on at every turn. But last time, yeah, he blew me away. The market kind of spoke as well. Personally, I love the fact that Willie Mullins and JP McManus have so many staying chasers that they now cannot keep them all away from each other. Because even if Spillane's Tower now, if he doesn't go to Kempton, Corbett's Cross goes there, he takes on Banbridge et al. Then you've got a Tremor, then it's going to be Monty Star potentially against Spillane's Tower, and here then you've got Factor File against Jerry Clom, against Galopin Des Champs. It's an embarrassment of riches now at the moment. Please God, this division. Jerry Clom, he's not completely out of it either. That was really poor last time, but you'd want to see a lot more from him. That was a desperate effort. It is between the front two, and Darren, if I did have to back one now, I would be saying Factor File. He's kind of like that GA minor now who's kind of stepped up. He kind of caught them out in the pre-season friendly, but now he's coming into the real stuff here now, and he's meeting a man at his home course. It's kind of like that year when Jeski won the champion hurdle, but he kept bumping into Hurricane Fly at Leopardstown. Some Leopardstown, when a horse is good there, they're very hard to actually beat there, because it's just our English watchers won't know. 2 out at home is unbelievably tough, and it really takes a horse who knows that track. And Galopin Des Champs, not only is he good here, he absolutely makes wreck here. He destroys all comers. His performances here last season, that's arguably the best performance of the racecourse I've ever seen, was his performance here.
Agreed.
Last Christmas. So Factor File, I've so much time for him. He's a brilliant horse, but I do think he's bumping into a man here. And that's not saying that, at the Cheltenham Festival, he can't flip that around. But just for now, I would be with Galloping Deschamps, yeah.
You'd be with Galloping Deschamps, same as myself. Yeah, I think we'll be celebrating our post-Christmas Day dinner a second time round on Boxing Day, please God. Some quick fire questions now, folks. I'm going to limit this to, well, 2 words, if not 1, because one of the correct answer to one of the questions requires 2 words. So the Kempton Christmas Hurdle, Gary, I'm going to come to you. If Lossiemouth and Constitution Hill rock up, both fitting well, good to soft ground, which wins?
If it's the Constitution Hill before his injuries, he'll eat or up and spit her out. But you want your head examined to back him on the back of his 2 public race course gallops. But yeah, if he's back to his best, he'll destroy her. Lovely
to see Gary Connolly sticking to the word count good and early, yeah. 1 or 2 words and a diatribe of nonsense to tell us what we already knew. I'm only messing, Gary. Dermo, you might stick to the rules a little bit better.
Lossiemouth
for you. And Tanya, the Christmas Hurdle at Kempton.
Lossiemouth
for you. I think I'm inclined to agree with you. The Irish equivalent, same caveats apply for the December Hurdle in Leopardstown for Stateman and Brighter Days Ahead. Gary, I'll give you a chance to rectify your wrongs here.
Stateman,
correct answer. Tanya?
I'm going to go with Brighter Days Ahead. I've always been a fan of hers.
Brighter Days Ahead. And Diarmuid Nolan?
I am going to add a diatribe of nonsense, as you so beautifully put it, Darren. Brighter Days Ahead as well. I think people are running away with the fact that that he needed to run. She also jumped badly right last time, so she will improve for going back left-handed. So as much as Stateman has a say here, I think she's being underestimated on what was a monstrous performance last time as well, when she did an awful lot wrong.
2 panel votes for Brighter Days Ahead, who I just struggling to get a price here at the moment. Last I saw, I know Stateman was trading around 4-7, which I think he's the likelier winner, but 4-7 felt skinny to me. 9-4, Brighter Days Ahead with our sponsors. Betfred, we will move on now to the remainder of the Christmas period. We have more than a decent weekends racing ahead of us before Christmas, obviously. The Long Walk Hurdle from Ascot. Our sponsors, Betfred, sponsored the entire card at Haydock, including the Tommy Whittle Chase. So, Gary, will you kick us off, please? Anything else in the Christmas period? Anything else this weekend? Anything else of note that you'd like to share with the audience in general? Fire ahead.
Okay, we'll go this weekend. Long Walk Hurdle. I think Crambo will win again. 15-2 looks far too big. I'll take him. Di Sardinos, she will win the 335 at Ascot as well. And Tommy Whittle, I'll go for Famous Bridge, last year's winner. I think he wins. Over the Christmas period, we'll go with more an Irish focus. Gold in the Mountains is going to run in a hot maiden hurdle, 12:35. Will probably come up against Redemption Day, William Money, so they'll make the market for him. I think he could be value. Willie the Hoolie, I will take on in the juvenile hurdle. Scandalous price. Hello Neighbour, I'd probably put up against him. I'd be against Imperi Pass in the long distance novice chase over that sort of trip. Better Days Ahead. If he rocks up there, we'll put it right up to him. 3-card Bragg, think he's well handicapped in the Paddy Power. Our own mate Arch Enemy holds 2 entries over Leopardstown. Track will bring out a bit more improvement in her. I'd hope she goes in the 2 mile race in the 26th. She'll win that. 2 juvenile hurdlers for Willie, Calix, De Berry and Cad de Torre. Hold multiple entries over Leopardstown and Limerick. They'll win wherever they rock up. And 1 in UK, Lalamba, Nicky Henderson, if he enters him on the 27th in Kempton. So Gino Pat, I think he's going to be the best UK juvenile hurdler. And that's the lot.
That noise you hear is people hitting pause while they're scribbling notes on that litany of winners there from Gary Connolly, no doubt. Tanya Stevenson, you were doing an awful lot of nodding along as Gary was speaking, so I'm sure you've got some agreement. We come to you next.
Yeah, it's that Betfred Tommy Whittle, Famous Bridge. Won it last year and then was going really well in the Grand National Trial 5 out, only to unseat the rider. Then what a race it ran at Cheltenham Festival. Already seen it once at Kelso, finished behind Elvis Smale. That's spot on. He'll need the rain. There's certainly weather watch for Haydock as always. It'll be heavy. I think there's gales forecast. I'll go Famous Bridge in the Tommy Whittle, and the Hemmings colours might be carried to victory as well in the last by Darren Hughes. But others to look at on the 27th of December in the 145. If Willie Mullins runs Carafon, back from a year off when very comfortable winner at Clonmel. But if it matches anything, that Clonmel back if you look at the horses behind, might not be anything, but it was the manner of the victory and the fact that Carafon has really good Grade 2 form was right in the mix behind Calaconte and Carguess and Nura Big Ring. So Carafon's due to potentially 145 on the 27th at Leopardstown. Obviously, Pinkerton in the 3 o'clock on the 27th, which I think is that Paddy Power Chase. Didn't go to the December Gold Cup, would have had a massive chance there. And Pinkerton there. I'm also hoping that either Olympic Man gets entered or declared somewhere over the Christmas period for William Mullins. Ran, I think, in the Dancing City race, but managed to treat every fence with utter contempt and yet still wasn't beaten too far. And then I'm also looking out for a horse called Castlefield Boy, but that might not run over the Christmas period because it still might on one of the quieter meetings, but it's a horse that will have a nice mark. But out of all of them, perhaps it'll be Pinkerton in the Paddy Power Chase on that 27th of December.
Pinkerton, one of the Christmas standouts for Tanya Stevenson. Yeah, I think Olympic Man went into an awful lot of trackers after that. I think it was a beginner's chase in Ireland. He stuck out like a sore thumb, but yeah, if he manages to jump with even slightly more respect for the obstacles in front of him, he looks like a good thing in a good staying chase at some point. Tanya and Gary, I'll be back to you for your naps in a moment's time. Diarmuid Nolan, take us through the rest of the Christmas period and this weekend, please.
Yeah, of course, buddy. Tomorrow at 12:10, Brandt runs a Turles. He is trained by a brilliant young trainer called Keane Collins. He's a Gordon Elliott graduate. He's a really good young trainer. He's got this horse last time out at Down Royal. That course was just simply far too sharp for him, but he absolutely flew home, and at this track will suit him much more, and I just really like him there. I also thought Strong Leader should take a bit of stopping in the long walk hurdle. I know it's a decent race, but still I just think he's a little bit better than these. Or Tommy Whittle, I'm taking on my two brilliant colleagues here, but I like Frenchy Dularge. Once he avoids the dreaded bounce, I thought Ned Fox, he was brilliant on him last time. He seems to get on with him very well. He's a horse who I think loves this kind of ground. He'll love this kind of trip. And that yard is just absolutely flying. So I do like him an awful lot here. And then over Christmas, there's a horse called Ivybrook. He's trained by Dermot McLaughlin. He showed up very well now in very good maidens. He is entered at Down Royal in a very similar race, but that's a much lower grade. I think he could go very well there. He's a bit of a dark one. Then in the Grade 1, we're in Parrot Pass. He's currently the 6-4 favourite. I didn't like how he jumped the fence, and I don't think he's an out-and-out stayer, so I think he could be a very bad favourite. And Search for Glory ran in that cursed tree-runner Florida Pearl race that people were going mad about, but he was the rightful winner in my opinion. I thought that the winner just got a much better ride than him, and he'll be staying very well. He's 10-1 there, so I do like him. And then Monty Star over Christmas, he's my Gold Cup punt, so I'd love a nice quiet win there for him now, and just kind of he'll creep into Cheltenham. People will 100% underestimate him, but once he gets that magical pace one day, he will win a Gold Cup. He's a really, really top class horse. They're all mine there.
All plenty there from Diarmuid Nolan, Monty Star, obviously the mandatory inclusion in any Christmas racing special on the Racehour podcast. Diarmuid, I'll come back to you for your nap in a moment's time, but Gary Connolly, can you provide us with your Christmas period nap, please?
Yeah, Christmas period nap is going to be hopefully going on the 26th at Leopardstown in the 2-mile handicap chase. One Last Tango. Very attractive mark over the fences. Hasn't been overly busy, we'll put it that way, thus far. And I think if he rocks up here, he will get smashed up in the betting and win as he likes. Pays for the Christmas presents today. He's the one. One Last Tango.
Very good. One Last Tango for Gary Connolly. Strong words there. Tanya Stevenson, your festive nap, please.
Well, I've had a look at all through these. I'm going to stick with Noel Mead and Pinkerton in what is an easy race, not. So in the 3 o'clock on the 27th, I'll go for Pinkerton. I thought that had he have run, as I said, in that December Gold Cup, he would have been very, very close, despite obviously what we've now seen what unravelled. He's a very, very talented sort, and I think I'll go for him.
Pinkerton for Tanya Stevenson. And last, Mr. Racehour himself, Diarmuid Nolan, your Christmas nap, please.
My Christmas nap is, while this race keeps falling apart, Banbridge I just think has a huge chance in that King George. Races keep falling apart. Hopefully Spallan's Tower, he doesn't run, but even if he does, I'd still like him here. He's proven at the track as well, which is very crucial for any Irish runner, as in we don't know that, but him definitely we do. And you, Darren, who's your fancies over Christmas?
Galloping
Who's now,
Deschamps,
Darren?
I think genuinely. Am I on mute? Am I? No, I'm not. No, Galloping Deschamps, I think is the bigger the price he is, the more you should have on the day. That'll be my main approach to the 28th. After that, then I was kind of hoping to get a bigger price about Stateman to beat Brighter Days Ahead, but I kind of had visions of evens or 11 to 10 in my head, but that obviously hasn't come to fruition. I think I'm going to give Nassalam a go in the Welsh Grand National as well. Hyper competitive campaign last year, and I think coming back, getting back down to a mark of 152 is pretty good plotting. So on an ordinarily I might consider napping him, but I just can't get away from Galloping Deschamps at the price. I think he should be odds on. So that'll do me for the Christmas period, I think. And with that, we would close out this week's show. With thanks again to sponsors Betfred and Gambling.com, of course, and also to my esteemed panel of guests, Dermo, Tanya and Gary. To our listeners, the very best of luck this festive period, and please remember to always gamble responsibly.
Relentless